If I'm not wrong, I think the pronunciation Globerona. Yeah, that's a. Have any? I think have you heard? Any one of you have heard about this word? It's a you know what do I say? It's a software where it actually it's a software where it teaches. I think it is a it's a designed software where it teaches how to communicate in different situation in different scenarios in different situations and all that. I have heard this one. I have seen that software or whatever the course through that software that they actually gives you a lot of grammar. They teach you the grammar and then the spoken language. It's a kind of a uh, uh, spoken English class. So that's how this one is introduced. But that was a failure, I believe. There was a great demand to buy this one earlier in many colleges also. Many institutes have bought this Globerana. If I'm not wrong, I think I'm not getting it wrong. The pronunciation must be correct. Please check, guys. You type in that word Globerana, G-O, whatever.
Globerina Technologies.
Yeah. That's what Globerina Technology. Yeah, that's. Have you heard about it, sir? Actually.
Yeah. Just not that much, but I heard this.
Okay. So people used it. I mean, many organizations have bought that. That sold for a lot of money also. It costed them a lot of money. But there were mistakes in there. I heard that one. I have seen that. It's a vague memory of mine, but otherwise I have seen that. So just for a few classes, because just for 10-15 minutes, I have to watch that. Yeah. Otherwise, that's okay. I don't have the in-depth information about that, but otherwise, this is a kind of teaching spoken English to the learners. So that's one thing is there, and then so it is there in the first introductory part of our spoken language. We are the what is there in this one. Schools and libraries are like they have a quest. They are searching for CDs and then softwares. They are searching for some kind of programs where the spoken English can be taught to the the learners. It's pronunciation and spoken. So CDs for pronunciation and spoken English also. So there are, and then many institutes, degree colleges, and then engineering colleges have come up with the laboratories also, spoken English laboratories, digital laboratories where this one, spoken English is taught there. And so this is all because why do they come up with the, after all, when we all studying English language from class 1, why do we need this kind of laboratories or digital language laboratories? Why do we need it? Because basically the textbooks, what we learn is that through the textbooks, what we learn is written to an extent. The language, we will learn the language to an extent, but otherwise, when it comes to the social linguistic capabilities, we are hampered. Like we have difficulties in expressing. So this kind of laboratories will actually help us to learn, spoken language, and so that's what is there in this one particular. So what is important when we are learning spoken language? The first one is, accuracy, fluency is very important, and then accuracy is also important. Two aspects which are very, very important to learn, acquiring the spoken language two aspects are very, very important. That is, one is fluency and the other one is accuracy. So we will discuss about fluency and accuracy. And then before that, I would just wanted to tell you guys, actually, see the gravity of whatever the language is spoken only by Bana countries. The native speakers are only Bana. Okay, British, and then North America and Australia. These are the people whose language is English. Okay, but otherwise everybody are learning. So there is, and then everybody has got their own variety of English. Where the Englishness of the English is getting diluted everywhere. Try to understand this point of mine. So what is that? The Englishness of English is diluting everywhere because the gravity of English is not centered at a place. It is moving around the world. So what happens here is that I'll tell you one important thing here is that the non-native speakers of the language feel more comfortable talking to the non-native speakers rather than speaking to the native speakers, because these people are used to some other variety of Englishes where they are very much comfortable speaking to the non-natives, otherwise non-native speakers. But otherwise, speaking to a native speaker is like they disdain, they don't like it actually. So that's how it is happening worldwide, because I have studied this one in one of the books. So I just wanted to tell you guys, I wanted to give you this information. And there is a Chinese entrepreneur who actually says that his name is Li Yong, yeah, Li Yong, and he's an entrepreneur. He said that conquer English. Learn English to conquer the world. That's what's his slogan. So he has designed a variety of the unconventional way of teaching language in his country. So that's how things happening in everywhere. Right? I don't know how many of you are getting it, but I'm trying to give you some kind of background history of how English is spreading it. It's already spread its tentacles, but otherwise it's still people are, while it is being pushed, the people are pulling it. That's how they're taking this language. That's the reason why every street corner there is a spoken English institute is there. Yeah, hopefully you must have come across many institutes, spoken English classrooms, spoken English institutes everywhere, right? So the reason why here one particular point that is mentioned in our textbook also I'll just read out the line which actually tells you that how come these institutes are mushrooming everywhere. That is, I'll just read out the line from our textbook, guys. This is the second paragraph in the unit. That is, this is interesting because the spoken English as a distinctive variety has been emphasized as much in any other language than English. The youth who ask for this seems to, we have finished learning written English in school. Now you give us spoken English. So what is that? This indicates that the learners actually finish writing skills. They learn the structure, the form of the language in the school by the grammar classes that there are 3 tenses are there, and the main tenses are further classified. All these, see, the simple present is has a structure like this: subjective, verb, and object. V1 and object is there. That's how they learn this written language in the school. But when it comes, so once they finish the written language, learning the written language in the school, and then they ask for the the spoken language once they come out of the school for the school. So and then so what is and then we just have to, we will also examine different levels of this variety for various groups who require it. It also connects with some of the procedures described in the previous unit. So what is that? So everybody, as we have discussed in our previous unit, that procedure, that what was in our last objectives are there, right? For every set of students, every set of students in the group, category of students, a set of students will have a objective. It is not all the students who are pursuing graduation or who are pursuing any other course will have the different objectives, right? One wants to do IAS, one wants to go into, some other course or some other things like that. So everybody has got their own, objective. And then, objectives are so to realize those objectives, there are certain procedures we have to, adapt or follow, right? So there are 2 aspects to acquiring of this. So what are the aspects? What is that? How can you say that we have acquired language? What is proficiency? Proficiency is the ability to use a language sociolinguistically and then in different scenarios wherein you are very comfortably, transacting in this particular language will actually, that means that shows your competence levels and then the knowledge that you acquire in this particular language. So that's how it is. So there are two aspects to the acquiring of the spoken variety of English. Spoken variety of English. So what is that? Fluency and accuracy. These are the two important aspects that we should learn so that we can actually use the language in different situations. So now, what are the procedures that actually, what are the, teaching principles will teach you this one, fluency and accuracy? Actually, communicative language teaching principle. Please guys, make it very clear that communicative language teaching principles, okay, will emphasize fluency, and then structural audio lingual principle emphasize accuracy. Structural lingual principles emphasize accuracy. These are the two different aspects of the spoken language. One is fluency and the other one is accuracy. And then accuracy will be, we can acquire the accuracy of the language by the, the principles that we follow through the communicative language teaching. And then accuracy, we can master accuracy by structural audio lingual principle. So this is how it is. The issue of intelligibility is also worth considering. Intelligibility. What do you mean by intelligibility? Intelligibility is nothing but when I speak, you should be able to understand. When you speak, I should be able to understand. That is called intelligibility. So when the two people, the listener and the speaker, are communicating, if they are comprehending what they are speaking, when they are intelligible to each other, then that means the conversation is successful there. So that is one thing. So what is that we have to understand? So in order to learn spoken English, a variety of spoken English, fluency and accuracy are two important aspects that we need to, focus on. And then how do we acquire this fluency and accuracy? So communicative language teaching principles will teach you, will give you fluency, and then audio lingual principle will give you the accuracy to your language. That's one thing. And then coming to another one is spoken English. Spoken English, what is that? So English learning in India begins with the literacy training, right? Literacy training. What is that literacy training? So in the initial stages of when the child goes to a school, even before the child is like, even before the perceptual development is completed, they will be, exposed. They will be, exposed to this recognizing of the shapes, even before they understand the shapes and, perceptual development of is completed and the recognition of the shapes has been achieved. Even before that, we introduce them to the, alphabets. By spelling, we'll understand the letters, right? C for cat, C-A-T. So like that, they will be exposed through the beginning with the letters, right? Recognizing through the spelling or spelling out of the letters. So this is one thing. What is that? English learning in India begins with the literacy training, and take any play school or a kindergarten or in our country, and that the first thing that the child is made to do is to pick up a pencil and write the English alphabets, right? That's how we all start off, right? As soon as you send the slate is given, the chalk is given, and the student and the learner a small kid will be exposed to saying the teacher puts letter A, and then the student has to write A. Okay, write A many times on that slate. Practice it. Okay. English alphabets, even before the perceptual development is complete and recognition of the shapes has been achieved. So exposure to these alphabets becomes, at a very young age, even before they have perceptual. What do you mean by perceptual understanding? Even before you understand it through the sense, right? So that's how it is. The following, okay. This is followed by teaching word recognition through spelling and spelling out of the letters, beginning with the words like cat and rat and etc. So in our textbook it is also mentioned that there is. Have you guys ever heard this song? Like uh, there is a Hindi song. Yes, I heard it, but I may not be able to give you the details about the song. But otherwise, there is a Hindi song which of 1950s, which actually incorporated in one of the Hindi films, which actually talks about the techniques in which in fact some common that it was by letters. CAT cat yani billi, rat 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 yani chua, like that. There is a song I believe in 1950s. That's how this teaching of the words will be started with at the young age. So, and then one more, spoken English. We are discussing about the spoken English, guys. So even before, the first point to be noted here, all of you please understand this one. The child will be exposed to the English alphabet even before the perceptual development is completed and recognition of the shapes has been achieved. That is spoken English. First point that we have to understand. One of the reasons for the prominence of literacy training in schools is that reading and writing is what most teachers who teach English in the rural areas can manage in the language. They can, guys, actually, if I keep reading this one, it is really difficult. So I'll just tell you that what is there in this particular paragraph. See, most of the students actually, when in our Indian context, we are talking about whatever we study in our textbook, it is all based on the Indian context. We are not looking out of India, right? So in India, many schools which are in different regions or different parts of the world, parts of our country, adapt different techniques, and the teachers' competent levels are different, and the teachers' knowledge is different. So, and the groups and the target levels are also different. So everything is different according to the teacher, the infrastructure available there, the students whose background knowledge is different. So based on that, in many schools, what happened is that they read at the level of decoding. Many teachers and the students, what they do is they can read at the level of decoding and writing at the level of encoding. That's it. And that is transfer words into script, but cannot speak and write except at the very basic level. So in our Indian schools, what happens is that this is what happens. Only textual information will be given to the student, and then beyond the textbook, nobody explores. I mean, the teachers are handicapped of the resources or the it also depends on the inclination of the teacher, right? The inclination means surviving. Somehow I am surviving. So what does it what difference does it make if I if I have a good communication skills or not? Because even if one teacher has got a good communication skills, if she doesn't have an environment where she can actually exhibit it, or there are people who can actually understand her competence, there is no point, right? But in fact, what this is some kind of lethargy which seeps into many teachers, that they don't yeah, maybe I'm right or wrong, but it is my idea, my opinion about it. But otherwise, yeah, the teacher should actually, train other teachers who are like less competent in communication skills and all that. That would be a really ideal, appreciable idea or appreciable thing in any organization, right? So English as it is spoken is not heard by the students in the class. As it is spoken, Generally, we don't figure out, right? Well, spoken English is different and then the textual language is different. And what we practice in the schools is that we loud reading, and then loud reading is practiced to a certain extent by the student. But even that is not done fluently. And then the intonation and the intonations are different. The pronunciation is different. So this is how there are problems in learning spoken English in the instructional settings, right? So the movement from reading and writing fluency to oral fluency or understanding English as it is naturally spoken thus becomes difficult for most school leavers. So this is the problem actually. Whenever, see, our community is not our society or the community is not an English speaking community, and most of the time, I mean, we converse in our native language, in our mother tongue, etc. And then what will happen is that the little, whatever little exposure that we get is only in the school, and that too in a English classroom. Otherwise, many schools, I'm talking about not all the schools, but I'm talking about many schools. This is the, this is what is being practiced only in English classroom. They will be exposed to a limited, language. So that is the drawback of, that is the main hurdle in learning spoken English in our community, right, guys? And then, so that is the reason why most of the, after the school is over, when the students enters into the, finished the schooling and then gets into the college level, then they will face a lot of problems. What will happen is that they will not comprehend, they will not understand what the teachers are teaching in this particular language. As I said, so higher education is all like, is in English, is in English medium. So these students will find it really difficult to understand the core subjects also, which is transacted, which is, which is catered in this particular language. So what is important is that pronunciation. So now, when you are like looking into this one, so first one is the pronunciation. When you are keen on learning communication skills, the pronunciation is very, very important. And then the fluency is important, and the appropriate. These are the three aspects, guys. These are the three important aspects that we need to learn. We need to, focus on or pay attention as much as possible attention to these three aspects of the language. What are those? Pronunciation, fluency, and appropriacy. I just tell you, there is, as we all understand, there is no one-to-one correspondence between the written letters and the spoken sounds, right, guys? For example, I'll just tell you one word, that is OFTEN. Often, like many students will actually pronounce it as often. Okay, so often is like maybe another word I can give you, that match. It is match. But it is T. So what is that? There is no one-to-one correspondence between the letters and the oral sounds in English, right? A psychology is there, where PS is silent there, and psychology is, that's how the silent letters are.
Listen also.
Yeah, listen. Yes, exactly. Listen also. Yeah, that's how this is. So there is no one-to-one correspondence. Yeah, pronunciation is very, very important, guys. I just tell you one word, which is there. If I'm not wrong, there it is there in our Ambedkar Open University books only. That double up. What do you mean by double up? When you don't pronounce it in a proper way, then the one who is hearing it will not understand it, right? Is it whether it is double up or it is develop? So what is the double up? So that's how this pronunciation plays a very crucial role in understanding this. And then there is no one to, as we understand this one, there is no one-to-one correspondence. So and then what happens is that there is a RP, received pronunciation. Yeah, so there is RP is there. We have designed, if you see in the dictionaries, there is RP. RP is received pronunciation. That means standardized pronunciation. The two varieties of British and American pronunciations are there. RP, American, this thing RP is there and the British RP is there. So we generally follow the received pronunciation is common, like standardized. What is that? How do you say that? It is uh, common for all people. Like they need to understand this one, right? So what is that? We will just, I'll run through the lines quickly, reading it, because mostly it is literature that is more important. So we need to, we just can't, unless you know, read them a couple of times, the paragraphs, you won't remember what exactly is there in the paragraphs. So let me just run through the lines very quickly. So there is no correspondence between the written letters and the oral sounds in English, but most Indian pronounce words as they are spelled. Yeah, as we have discussed. They are not expressly taught stress in the words and stress in the sentences also. Recent textbooks, however, have a section. So in order to overcome this kind of, this pronunciation problem, textbooks have introduced a section of pronunciation, right? The vowel sounds, and then the 26 letters of English have got 44 sounds, and then these 44 sounds have got two different categories like vowels and consonant sounds, and then you have a lot of the variations in the phonetic, in the consonant sounds also. Plosives, bilabial, plosives are there. What is that? Nasals are there, bilabials are there. So there are different types of pronunciation. Consonant sounds are there. So this one is introduced. If anybody is there, any of you are undergraduate teacher, then you must have seen this one prescribed in the textbooks, right? For the degree first year students, there's a pronunciation part is there. So recent textbooks, however, have a section of pronunciation, and this aspect is to be practiced. The irony. So see how I'm pronouncing this. Irony, it's irony is that not even a close approximation to the actual sounds is achieved, since the language is not spoken outside. Pronunciation also becomes an academic accept. So why are we learning this pronunciation? Because this is not heard. Authentic pronunciation or whatever pronunciation, everybody has got their own, the mother tongue influences, right? We can easily identify a Malayali speaking English or Gujarati speaking English and Marwadi speaking English. So we can identify their, whatever, from which state they belong to when you look at their language, English language. So that's how. So to make it universally accepted one, we have a received pronunciation, universally comprehensible, pronunciation. We have RP there. So that's one thing. So this becomes an end in itself, and very few people use it either to learn. So if you just look into the pronunciation part, you have in dictionary also. If you check after the word, there is a transcription is there, phonetic transcription is there, wherein you will understand how to pronounce the word properly, right? We just have why is this phonetic transcription is there? Because we don't have a one what is that? One-to-one correspondence between the spelling and the pronunciation. That's because of that. So even in the postgraduate certificate in the teaching of English, phonetics is a favorite subject among the teacher training. And as phonetic transcription is something that can be committed to memory. So we just have to remember, like the sounds, how is it sound? So it involves a lot of effort. You just have to be very keen, when you are learning phonetics. It is very, very, you just have to be, very consciously put effort, wherein how the parts of the, vocal cords and then the organs that are involved in pronouncing the words involve the organs. When you are pronouncing the words, you just have to be very keen. What are the parts of our body? What are the parts of our that are used in pronouncing the words, right? The tongue has got different, parts, like tip of the tongue, back of the tongue, blade of the tongue, and then upper palate, lower palate, all these things. That is which is taught mostly in the phonetic classes. So that is one thing, guys, actually. And then social linguistically speaking, we are not aiming at the native speaker. So as I told you that we are not aiming at the native speakers. We don't have to, speak like a native speaker, because native variety is, I mean, there should be a neutral kind of variety, because not everybody cannot, practice this kind of native variety, right? So moving into English is getting internationalized, and moving into the neutral kind of variety without the accent of the native speakers is necessary. English is being used as that's the reason why I told you, please guys, actually, all the people in the world, all the different people of the different countries are like, having their own variety of English accent. We don't have to, imitate the native speakers, right? We have our own Indian English, right? So we know how to, that's our variety of our English. Everybody has got it, right? And even in different regions of in India also have got varieties of English. So while English is diluting, there are many Englishes everywhere. That's there in the degree textbook, guys. So English is being used as an international language. I'll just tell you one thing out of the syllabus and out of the context. I just wanted to tell you, the Britishers feel so, arrogant. They are so arrogant, and then they are so proud that they believe that this language has their language has got so much of is so potent that they don't want to learn any other accent or any other, kind of. Try to keep up, try to understand the non-native speakers of the language. So what is happening to the Britishers is that they are losing on many business opportunities, guys. So that's how the, psychology of the Britishers, British people. So they feel proud in their own language. They don't want to, accept the other varieties of English, guys. I think that is so wherein they are losing many business opportunities. English is actually pushed into the world as not with unintentionally, it is intentional. It is kind of a business. Is English for business or business for English? That is how we have to debate on it. That's one thing. So whatever, coming to our this one, English is being used as an international language and communication, and gradually native speakers are accommodating to. Gradually, now they are gradually accommodating themselves to the extent that the language is mutually intelligible to the speaker. This has been described by the Jennifer Jenkins as English as an international language. So even now, the people, all the native speakers have also realized that their variety is not the only variety that everybody has to, adapt or practice or use it. But so they also understood that there should be a neutral variety of language, so that they can actually be connected with the rest of the world. Okay. So English as a spoken in India has acquired features of its own. So features of its own. So what do you mean by features of its own? So we have our Indian variety of English. So it has got its own unique, features, right? And so this one is the one important feature that I would like to tell you is, so in Indian English in its spoken form also does not follow the intonation patterns that characterize English. So what is that? Our Indian variety of English will not follow the intonation patterns. Intonation patterns. That's one unique feature that we have, and there are differences in the features of the spoken language. So that's what everybody has got. Every region has got their own variety of language. We can very often recognize that the region of a person belongs to that region. Often recognize the region a person belongs to by the phonetic features of English spoken by him or her. This is not peculiarly in India. Everywhere it's like that. So a Chinese speaking English also we can recognize that he is a Chinese, is a Mongolian, he's a different from different country. Okay, even among native speakers of English, there are differences. The native speaker varieties spoke in Britain, Australia, and North America also have phonetic distinctive features. So even though these three countries, Bana countries, have their native language as English, but still even in these three native speakers also there are different varieties of phonetic distinctive features are there. Phonetic distinctive features are there. So point to be noted that. So and then because of the what is that business processing outsourcing and then job employment sector depending on the intelligibility of the employees to speak across the world, this kind of there is because of the different purposes we are learning. We have one induction program is being organized or what is that induction program, wherein what is the main motto of this induction program, that mother tongue they are trying to neutralize the mother tongue influence on the language. So guys, have you understood this one? I just wanted to highlight this one, guys. What is that? Many there are see, I'll just tell you this one. So the many centers, many organizations actually conduct induction programs where mother tongue influence, where they're trying to interference with the language. Okay, so that in order to neutralize that mother tongue influence on their English language, they are conducting induction programs wherein they can actually neutralize the accent neutralization. Can happen. This is called accent neutralization. Okay, neutral. It's neither native speaking native variety of English or accent, or nor the particular to our region. There should be a neutralized accent should be there. So that's the reason why many organizations, many companies, they actually kind of conduct induction programs. The pronunciation is a language related to accuracy of the form. This is one aspect of the speech. The other two are fluency and appropriacy. Fluency, guys, I'll just tell you fluency. What is fluency actually? Fluency is fluency is like speaking, without fumbling, without pausing, without, kind of expressing your emotions, right? Which is actually influenced. Fluency is always influenced with the affective factors. What do you mean by affective factors? That emotional states. What is emotional, such as fear, anxiety, stress, etc., etc. So fluency is influenced by these kind of when you are in distress or when somebody is in anxiety, then the fluency is always the fluency of the person will be at different levels when they are in a different emotional states, right? So general tendency in the globalized world today is to ignore peculiarities of pronunciation and focus on the accent content of communication. So then sometimes it is sometimes people also see that it is content of the communication. For ideas to be exchanged, free flow of speech is required. Many Indians political leaders during the independence movement challenged the rulers. Yeah, just want to tell you this one. Political leaders actually used the rhetorical. They used this English as a rhetorical weapon against the Britishers to take them out of their country. They rebelled against the colonizers in the latest language, in their own language. We learned their language to actually throw them out of our countries, right? That's how our nationalists and then political leaders have like Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Mahatma Gandhi, Rajgopalachari, and so these people have used their language, rhetorics as a weapon to throw them out of our country, the Britishers. So, and then in such cases, we find the language serves the expression of the thought and feeling. So that is how, fluency is starts. Fluency is influenced by, as I said, emotional states of the person. And Stephen has included this as a crucial principle of the language acquisition. And see, I'll tell you one thing, guys. We all must have aware. We are all, we all understand that, when at a young age, a child can be given, if they are provided the whatever the facilities, exposure to a particular language, they are very quickly, they will learn it very quickly. So because they don't have inhibitions, right? And then their affective filters will be low. So that's how the children learn. If they are exposed to a particular language for a reasonably well hours, reasonable number of hours, then the children would learn the language very quickly. Why? Because they will have little inhibitions. Why? Because I'll just tell you guys, as we grow old, and then if you want to speak, if we start learning this language at a after a certain age of ours, then we will have inhibitions. What inhibitions we will have? We will have low confidence. Maybe people might find out. People might mock at us. People might judge us or based on our communication and all these things. That's how we actually shy away from speaking, and then we take a step back. So that's what children learning language in a natural setting are observed to progress fast. So what is that? Natural setting are observed to progress fast because they are less inhibited and their affective filter is low. The monitor is adult speakers make them conscious of their own errors in speech, and this affects their fluency. The monitor in adult speakers makes them conscious. So somebody is monitoring us when we are speaking. So we actually become very conscious, and then conscious of their own errors. So we know where all our weaknesses are, how we can, what are the problems that we encounter while we are speaking. All this we will be very conscious. We will become very conscious. So this is equally true of learning a second language in an instructional setting where often teaching is equated with the error correction. So one of the weaknesses of the school or college leavers is that they are very self-conscious of the errors they make in English. So the self-consciousness inhibits their fluency. So self-consciousness always inhibits the fluency. That's one thing. So fluency movement has also changed the nature of the classroom interaction. Students should be encouraged to speak to one another. So how do we overcome this kind of problem? That we need to encourage the students in order to encourage the students to talk among themselves with one another among themselves in this particular language. Okay, focus and at the same time focusing on their reading, writing, and listening activities are designed to create opportunities where they can interact in this particular language. This is one tool where you can implement, where you can use this one tool kind of giving opportunities for the learners to speak among themselves or one-to-one like that. So this can be overcome. This we can overcome. The fluency can be acquired when you give opportunities, facilitate the students to speak among them. And then coming to the appropriacy, guys, appropriacy is nothing but when to use formal language, when to use informal language, and depending upon the relationship you have with the people with whom you are speaking, whom you are conversing. Based on the relationship, you just have to be meticulous enough or intelligent enough, wise enough to how to use the language, like formal language or informal language. That's how you have to be very cautious about. You cannot talk to your boss like as you talk to your friend, right? That's one thing. So these things, polite language will go, will take us long way in our relationship, right? That's one thing. That is accuracy. Yeah, appropriacy. Appropriacy is nothing but speech. Speaker needs to be aware of the context of speech and the interlocutors. That is the people they are speaking to. Appropriacy is connected to the level of formality and informality in the formality and the role relationship. So that's one thing that is appropriacy, guys. And then the target levels in the spoken English is that in the target levels in the spoken language, spoken English is that. So we have three different situations, guys. Actually, where all we use the language, we have three different situations where we actually use language. One is not academic, the other one is functional, and the other one is social. These are the three different what is that areas or what do I say? Yeah, situations where we will be using this particular language. What are the three different situations? Academics, functional, and social. So these are the three different situations where we will be using this particular language. So target levels in the spoken English is we will what is that? We will just look into this one. There is a table here also. So we'll look at this one. The process of language acquisition has a structure that is common pathway to the most learners take to acquire the language, a tempo or the speed at which it is acquired, and the endpoint which varies for each individual. It is the point at which the individual feels that the level of language achieved is adequate for her or his needs, or the level beyond which she is not prepared to invest time and effort. So target levels is that in the language acquisition, it has been structured, right? It has been structured in the sense a group at a level of fourth class. This is these are the structures that they need to practice, and then this is what just to put it in a very simple way, guys. Actually, in the first class, the student has to identify the words. This is CAT is cat, BAT is bat. So that is the target. There are objectives, and then the targets, whether they have reached the target, and then once they reach the target, the objective that is being prescribed for that particular level of the students is achieved. So that is how it is all. So has structured, and then it is the point at which the individual. So once you whatever where you have this kind of consciousness wherein whether your language, whatever the potential that you have, whatever the knowledge that you have in particular language, is it sufficient? Is it adequate? Okay, is it adequate? Or if it is not adequate, are you prepared to invest time and effort? So it all depends on the target levels in learning the spoken English. So in institutional setting, these levels are determined by the curriculum of a particular group. Learners depends on their goals for language use. In Indian context, we need to determine the extent of the language that would be required for the students to function effectively for their academic and workplace needs. So in our so what is that? We need to determine the extent of what extent we need the language. In the social fatigue communion. Fatigue communion is what? Just to exchange the basic, what do you say, like greetings, basic greetings, and yeah. So that's kind of fatigue communion, wherein whether this is achieved or not. A person in business or an employee in a government or corporate office may have to exchange greetings and the pleasantries with customers and or visitors, entertain business colleagues, associates, etc. Hence, a certain amount of the small talk is necessary. So what is that we are trying to understand is that target levels in the spoken English is that it depends on every individual's, requirement is required according to their needs. So, for example, I'll just tell you guys in a simple terms, like a businessman is there. The businessman, whenever a customer comes to that guy, he would actually, exchange the pleasantries, exchange the greetings, and then, make the customer feel comfortable. And then in the different, in your this thing, that is the requirement. He's saying good morning, good afternoon, or whatever it is. How are you, sir? Welcome, sir. All these, that is his target. Once he is, comfortable in exchanging these greetings and then pleasantries, now that is his target level. That is what is enough for him. So this is depends upon every individual, every person who is in what level a person needs the competence in the spoken English depends on every individual's requirement. For students exposed only to the English textbook, the small talk becomes difficult. Spoken language of the kind and the level needed and the level. Oh God, I just have to take a picture, right? 1 second, guys. Before I forget and then leave the meeting, I just wanted to. I mean, the ma'am has actually, you know. So thank you, guys. Actually, this is I generally forget to take a picture of it. Picture of class photo. Yeah. So that's one thing, guys. For students exposed only to the English, we have more 4 minutes, and then let us. I just want to conclude by saying that academic language is textual in nature. There are three situations wherein we require language, right, guys? So academic language is textual, academic in academic situations, and also functional language. Functional is academic language we want, functional language, and then social language. Three different languages that we are in three different situations. So for three different situations we need that language, right? Academic language is textual in nature and needs accuracy. Functional language is both textual and interpersonal and needs fluency. Social language needs fluency and appropriacy. Yes, you all understand? Social language needs fluency and appropriacy. That's what I'm telling you, guys. Social language in the sense, when you are speaking to a stranger, to what extent appropriacy is needed? No, how much formal language, to what level of formal language you are using it, depends on the person with whom you are talking to. So that is on another thing. So functional language in both textual and interpersonal and needs fluency, that is, functional in the sense when you are in the job, when you are doing some, business or whatever field you are in, that is functional place where you are using that language. So that is also textual and interpersonal also. Then that needs fluency, guys. And then, but academic language needs always accuracy. Accuracy is grammatically correct. The form wise it is correct, the structure wise it should be correct. All these aspects have to be paid much attention. So I think you have understood this one. Okay, these are the. So, and then functional maybe at the higher level. So that's one thing. Moving on to that, I just want to wind up saying that engineering colleges have set up digital laboratories, and then in a big way, in the hope that the training in the phonetics will help them to speak language. And in the non-laboratory English sessions, what we can do is that you have to, exploit the textbook, and wherein you can actually create some, tools wherein the students can get, get the advantage of speaking to their peers and then among themselves. And that's how they can actually forego the, self-consciousness, and then gain confidence also, mostly gain confidence. And then that's how they can actually learn spoken language. So fluency and accuracy and pronunciation, all these three important aspects of the spoken language at different levels, right? So generalizing that there is no, universally accepted variety of English. There are different varieties of Englishes are there. It depends on the, the region where this language is being used. Indian English, that's how Chinese English, American English, like that. So guys, I think I have made it very clear. I think I have done a good job. Of course, if not a good job, but yeah, to the satisfaction, I think. So guys, thank you so much for being with me. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Take care, guys. See you in my next class tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Bye bye.